Hello friends, fellow hunters, welcome back to In the Wild Outdoors. I am co-host Bren Hill of Hooper, Utah, here with Jesse Tatman, owner-operator of Saddlehorn Outfitters out of Daniel, Wyoming. We're going to bring you some more insight, reviews, and information from the perspective of guides and outfitters as to how you can become a more successful Western big game hunter. This is In the Wild Outdoors. Brother, how you doing?
Good, you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I've, got a busy stretch coming, so yeah. I just have to survive it, A lot of miles, and the hard part of what I do is just traveling. It just takes it out of you, and you travel a bunch.
Yeah. Mostly these days I've been just spending a lot of time talking to hunting clients.
Yeah.
Talking about, what to expect and, booking hunters. Hunting Fool's doing a lot of booking for me, so, they're sending a lot of guys over that want to talk to the outfitter, and, we're talking calibers and which we're going to do in this show, talking what's best for the West and, gear and what they can expect and, all that kind of stuff. And, I'll spend hours a day on that. And then, of course, I'm still drilling oil wells too. And,
Yeah, there is that, right? Yeah. One habit has to help the other, right?
Yeah. So,
but Saddlehorn Outfitters is growing. I mean, it's amazing how much that's grown in a short time.
It's growing a lot, growing fast,
Yep.
I'm proud of it. It's doing well.
Yeah.
Proud of my guides and
the
people that make it happen.
Yep. Well, it brings us to another discussion we've been putting ourselves out there a little bit on our caliber series here, and we're going way out there today. But you and I think, have a similar thought process on what we're going to talk about today. And today it's why we don't recommend the 6.5 Creedmoor for Western big game hunting.
Not my caliber choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even on the spectrum.
Yeah. Well, we talk so much about what it takes to be successful these days, hunting Western big game, and for folks that are DIY guys, that maybe can't afford to do an outfitted hunt or whatever, they're going to have so much invested in bonus points and just finally even to get that out-of-state hunting license, even if they're in-state. They're going to put time in on the field and scouting, and they've really got a lot of investment by the time they get out there to hunt. It's all on the line for them, and I think we live in a time where this cartridge has really gained a lot of popularity, and we're going to talk about some of the reasons why I think that has happened. And I think, a lot of guys transition this over to a hunting round, to a hunting cartridge, and maybe that's not necessarily what it was designed to do. And I think you and I both have agreed there are better options.
There are a lot better options.
Yeah. The history of the 6.5 Creedmoor, developed in 2007 by Hornady senior ballistician Dave Emery and Dennis DeMille of Creedmoor Sports. And this was developed as a superior, low-recoil, long-range competition cartridge.
Yep.
Based on the 30 Thompson center case, I can't tell you that I know the difference between a 30 Thompson center case and a 308. I have a Thompson center, but I didn't know that that was the basis of the 6.5 Creedmoor. It was engineered for high BC's, ballistic coefficients, in short-action rifles, and in concept was designed as a match cartridge to outperform the 308 and its predecessor, the old 260 Remington. And has some pros, It's, as we said before, high ballistic coefficients, close to 600 average, sectional density close to 300. It makes this, as we've always, the 264 Win Mag came out when we were kids. We know that 6.5 bullet has, good numbers on paper. and flies straight through the air. One of the things I think that's been so attractive for these guys that are target shooting and shooting many, many rounds is that low recoil. And now, of course, the popularity of all the chamberings in this ammo, since it's, in this cartridge, since it's become so popular. But just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should. And when we're talking about these critters that we have around us, elk, big black bears, big mule deer. A big trophy mule deer is north of 300 pounds on the hoof.
Yeah.
These are tough critters.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So that's, I think, one of the things that we have to take into consideration is what does that terminal performance, look like in the real world, and for guys that are sitting there shooting this off the bench all day long and putting holes in holes, which I certainly don't doubt that they can, how does that translate to real world hunting situations where, you've got all that time and money invested in that opportunity, and, in your case, you've packed up, Gray's River, or you packed up Shepherd's Creek, if you packed into Crystal Creek, on the Tetons. That's quite a journey, and then all of a sudden you've got this trophy animal sitting in front of you who might never have that opportunity again.
Well, and, guys that do it backpack don't even have horses and mules, and they go in there, and that's a lot more work than me taking a pack string in there that I do all the time,
Yep. I think we talk about factors in the real world like wind, you hunt in Wyoming, man. We talk about a wind-resistant caliber, a high BC, a high sectional density, but
when you're starting out slow at 2,700 feet a second, and to get that, I just reviewed all the ballistic data I could find, and I compared the 6.5 Creedmoor, 140 grain, and I used a Nosler ballistic tip. Mm-hmm. But finding a hunting round, factory hunting round for that is pretty hard. Yeah. First, I went to the Burger EOL, and it was like a 156 grain or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't getting the velocity.
Right.
But to compare it to the 264 Win Mag, so I went back to a 140 grain bullet on both. That thing's starting out at 2,700 feet a second to get to 2,700 feet a second, and you got a BC of like 0.512 out of a ballistic tip, 140 grain, and you go to the 264 Win Mag, and you're shooting a 140 grain PSP hunting bullet at 3,100 feet a second.
Yeah.
3,000, I think it's 30, right close to 3,100 feet a second.
Yeah.
When you get in those big canyons, for one thing, I don't like a light bullet across canyons because you got 3, 4, 5 different winds. You have updrafts,
Yep.
and it creates a lot of wind problems. So I like a heavier bullet,
and
going a lot faster.
Tell me, wind in western Wyoming, it's just different. It's just
right, and even in antelope country, I wouldn't pick the Creedmoor to go out there antelope hunting when I could take a 264 Win Mag and I'm going to get 400 feet a second.
Yep.
More velocity
Yep.
out of the same projectile. So factory ammo, we talked about this, before, but versus hand loads, and you're just not getting a good hunting bullet for that,
Yep.
and then, I guided a guy on Diamond Mountain. Oh, it was about 5 years ago. I guess maybe a little more than that. Probably 2016.
Which is in eastern Utah, just north of the country where
and
you
he
grew
had
up.
a big 6x7 bull. First morning the bull wasn't there. We seen him the night before. Went in there the next day. He's shooting a Gunworks 6.5284. And he went in there shooting a 140 grain Burger VLD hunting bullet. And he had a deal on his stock with bullets in it. And we went up there. First shot, bull comes down following his cows, and we stalk up there. We see him come over the ridge, so we get up there, beat feet up there. And he takes first shot 300 yards, misses the bull, shoots over the bull at 300, and hits the ledge behind him. The bull comes downhill, the cows go the other way. So we beat around, get him nailed down, and the bull comes out into an opening, 100 yards. I flip my spot and scope tripod, flip the spot and scope up. He gets on one knee and hammers the bull right behind the shoulder with the 6.5 284, 100 yards.
Yeah.
Bull just soaks it up like nothing, just looks at him.
Yeah.
I said, hit him again. When he shoots him again. And he gets down and he's like, gets down to the last round. He's like, so I got 3 rounds left. I said, well, break his neck. So he shoots him the last 3 rounds. Finally, the last round, I said, the bull's just still standing in his same tracks. Hasn't just soaking him up.
Yeah.
And I said, hit him right in the butt of the ear.
Yeah.
Like, finally he does it. The bull collapses, And when I field dressed the elk, those 6.5 284 burgers made it through one lung.
Right.
Didn't even get through both lungs.
Yeah.
Turned around, 4 days later, called a bull in for the other hunter, and he shoots him frontal with my 300 drum, and just 100 yards, dropped him.
Yeah. Yeah, that velocity, makes such a difference in terminal performance. Obviously, a little larger diameter caliber on that 300 drum. Elk especially, and for folks who haven't hunted elk before, maybe haven't got one on the ground, been successful, there's something really humbling about that first time you put an elk quarter on your pack and lift it up on your back.
Yeah.
You really can't fathom how much bigger an elk is than, let's just say a white-tailed deer or even a mule deer, till you put that first load on.
You get an 800-pound bull elk, and you load a iron quarter on there. And, the thing about that bull was that he shot, it didn't even bleed outside.
Yeah.
So if the bull would have run off,
yeah,
it was a good thing that the other hunter was down with Jay glassing up there, because if the bull run off and could have got out of that basin, there was so much elk sign in there.
Yeah.
You would have never been able to follow blood. It's in September. It's dry as can be on Diamond Mountain,
Yeah.
There's no snow.
Yep.
How would you attract it?
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Turn around the next time he come back in 2000, what was it? He come back 2020.
Yeah.
And he shot a bull with a 28 Nosler at 400 yards and rolled it.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
With a Gunworks 28 Nosler and just...
28 Nosler's been such a popular, also had a lot of popularity since it's been out. Probably a little over a decade or something like that, I think, maybe.
So, on my gear list, you see everybody that gets it, gets a minimum caliber of a .284, and that's whether it's the spring bear gear list or it's I just don't recommend smaller. And I personally, I killed a lot of elk with a 270. We talked about that.
Yeah.
But 130, 150 grain bullets, and they did well. At 100 yards, I shot one bull at 300 and lost him.
Yeah.
And I changed from that to a 300 drum.
Yeah.
The next year.
Yeah.
Because I started hunting above timberline. I started hunting up high, hunting different type of elk, trying to kill bigger elk.
Yeah.
Moved on from just shooting whatever I seen, spikes, whatever,
Yep.
to hunting trophy-sized elk. So I had to go to different terrain. I had to reach further out, shooting across canyons.
Yeah.
And light bullets going slow are not the key.
Not the key for elk, especially, yeah. Which segues perfectly to, maybe, to our better substitutes here. I know the valid argument that the reason people shoot this is, you've got young hunters, maybe smaller frame women hunters coming in that recoil, they don't want to flinch. They want, they can shoot this more accurately. In the same ballpark of felt recoil, there are better options. And you just mentioned one of them that has some longevity here in the hunting world. You said you lost an elk with it, but I know there's been a lot of elk, but especially a lot of trophy mule deer. And my uncle killed a lot of big mule deer with this 270.
Right. And, the 270, I love it. I have a couple of them. And one of them was my dad's gun, and I had a muzzle brake put on it. And there's been a lot of whitetail, a lot of kids have shot I've had guys that like had shot things with it, and it doesn't kick that bad. But my old Remington 700 kicks worse than my 28 Nosler or a lot of the other ones that I have. Like I have a lot of young people and stuff use my guns, and with the suppressor on the 28 Nosler, shooting a 195 grain bullet is kicking less than that is. And one of the worst kicking rifles I ever shot was a Winchester Featherlight in a 30-06. I mean, that thing would rattle your teeth loose.
We can't let the cat out of the bag too soon. I'm going to go for a couple of more options here that I think are better. And this one right here, we had our favorite caliber segment, and it was really hard for me not to pick this. This is, still today, I think, a valid hunting round. That's a good old Winchester 308. That bullet right there is 180 grains. And, again, obviously not quite the extended ranges, that we talk about, a 300 mag or a 7 mag or a 28 Nosler. But I would say within about a 500 yard max, good old 308 is still a pretty lethal round.
No, I shoot a 308 a lot, and that's what I practice with. If I'm at the range just practicing, burning, or teaching somebody to shoot, I use 308, and well, Briggs, he had that problem with his rifle last year, and he ended up using my 308, and we shoot a lot of bears with 308. There's a lot of hunters come out hunting with us that just don't want to have to bother with flying a gun.
Yeah. And
they show up, and I have a Model 84, Kimber Model 84 that killed I don't know how many bears.
Yeah.
Like big bears, with a 308, 168 grain burger.
Love it. Yeah.
Hunting bullet. Mm-hmm. And same, I have a Christensen Arms titanium. That's the ones that Briggs used, Mm-hmm. And we're shooting bears, under 200 yards, and they don't do well shot with the 308.
No, 308 is still a lethal round, especially, we got bullet technology. I like a Barnes TTSX and another, 308 that I have that I've hunted with that's just...
But, you take this one in a 140 grain bullet starting at 2,700 feet per second.
Yeah.
Right? And you take this in a 168 grain bullet starting at 2,740 feet a second is what the ballistic profile on my 308 is doing.
Right.
And I know that's what it is because I shoot wolves. I shoot everything with it. It rides in my truck all the time, And you're starting out just the same speed, but you've got a lot more. And these, like I said, I've had a hard time finding a good hunting bullet, and there's probably guys out there that probably have something they like.
Yeah.
With the 6.5 Creedmoor. But there's a lot of good hunting bullets for the 308.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Barnes and Burgers and, even Winchesters and Federals. And I mean, there's so many.
Another based off of this cartridge, off the 308 is, that I like is a 7mm 08. And I would, I'd reach for a 7mm 08 for Western big game hunting, but long before I'd go for a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Right. And I don't know that much about a 7mm 08. They've been around a long time. When I got the Kimber 308, I was looking for some guns to have for bear guns, for loner guns for people, and light ones. The Model 84 and the Kimber's pretty light gun. For carrying up down the mountain for young people and stuff. It's a nice gun to carry, right? And it's just got a 4 to 12 Leupold on it. It doesn't have a turret on it or anything. It's just made for shooting critters.
Yeah.
Bears at a couple hundred yards. And the only reason I went with the 308 versus the 7mm 08 is just bullet availability, factory ammo.
Way more choices. Yeah. If it must be, we have a lot of guys that just that 264 round is near and dear to their hearts, and I would say if it must be a 6.5, I think there's better options. This happens to be a 6.5 PRC. Very similar ballistically to the old 264 Win Mag that came out. I know you talked about a 6.5 284. There's a 6.5 300 Weatherby. There's better choices. This bullet's coming out just shy of 3,000 feet per second. Again, just a little bit.
And the PRC bullets, the way they're designed, they do shoot a lot higher BC bullet, you know, whether the 6.5 PRC, the 7 PRC, the 300 PRC. I guided a couple of guys on a doll sheep hunt in Alaska, and they both shot their doll sheep with a 6.5 PRC and killed them. They were done. We had some grizzlies around. They wanted to go shoot a grizzly, and I said, leave that thing in camp. You're shooting the 300 Ultra.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because I'm the one that has to go in the brush after it.
No kidding. You know, we've got so many guys that write to us from Canada and Alaska. You know, that 308 diameter and a 300 mag, whatever it is, a lot of those guys are still packing 30-06s up there, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And 30-06, such a great cartridge, still valid today. You know, 300 mag, 338s up there. Those guys that hunt big critters, they know that a little larger diameter bullet with more energy behind it has better terminal performance.
You know, I know a lot of Alaskans, and I know, you know, I'm friends with a lot of the natives in Alaska.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times they live in, you know, harsh environments, and they shoot 30-06s, a lot of them 180 grain bullets, you know. Yeah. And they've had them for generations and generations passed down, right? But one of the most popular that I see Alaskans use is a 338 Win Mag, and they still swear by a Nosler partition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love the Nosler partition.
Love the Nosler partition, and they aren't shooting things a long, long ways away. They're shooting moose stuff, you know, and just the 338 Win Mag with the Nosler partitions just done them really good for. And I killed a lot of critters with a partition for a long time.
Which brings us to our best solution here, and you kind of mentioned it earlier, but you know, we live in a day and age when this particular piece of gear is a lot easier to come by. Suppression of recoil up to 40% and 35 decibels of sound reduction. You know, sometimes on our big bore, especially our Magnums, on the old belted Magnums, you know, that muzzle blast, I think is one of the things that maybe makes, I don't know, you know, you wonder if that muzzle blast wasn't quite so prominent, if they'd really be feeling the recoil as much. You know, it's almost like a flinch of the muzzle blast just as much. So, this is my proposed solution, and that is a suppressor. And this is a Silencer Co. Omega 300, I believe. You know, with the tax stamp, I think I was into this $800. I used Silencer Central. It took me a couple of months to get. I just bought another one, and it took a little less time, you know. So there is a little bit involved. Fingerprinting, you know, registering, having a background check, and, you know, all of that stuff, obviously.
Well, I just did one. Got another one, a Silencer Co. Scythe TI 30, and I just, you know, since the tax stamp thing went away, I just did it, and I just got it back, and it took about 10 days.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. You know, and I have the whole kiosk thing where you have to update your picture ever.
Right.
And I think that probably, because I didn't know I had to update my picture, and then so that took a couple of days until I looked at it and said, oh.
Yeah.
They want me to update my picture, so I updated it. But it come back the other day, and, you know, I do the quick detaches on mine because I have to take them off so often. I don't want to mess up the threads on the barrel.
Right.
And it kind of uses it. And then I put a muzzle brake on inside mine, and then I do the quick detach because it's carried in a saddle scabbard. Yeah. In and out of saddle scabbard all the time. If I got to bail off, and if I got a bear problem, I want it to go boom, real big boom. Yeah. So if I'm hunting, you know, I put it on. But if I'm on a horse or whatever, I don't a lot. And there's a lot of times that I don't pack it with it on because I get tired of it being so long, you know, out of a 26-inch barrel. Yeah. And I'll put that on. But you know, it's, I think, 3 turns and a click of to latch it on. You know?
Yeah. It's just, you know, to me, it just is almost, it's not, I don't want to use the word essential, but, you know, coming to a place where we've got so many better options for calibers that deliver more terminal performance, improved terminal performance, I should say. I think it really warrants some real consideration to get yourself a suppressor, and make that little bit larger bore rifle a lot more shootable.
And I'm going to bring this up in Wyoming and Idaho and Montana and a lot of Alaska. You shoot a rifle, it goes boom. It's like a dinner bell to the grizzly bear. Especially around Yellowstone National Park, Glacier National Park. You shoot an elk there with a gun that goes really big, boom. They relate that with the dinner bell.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I have not had that problem with a suppressor.
Yeah.
Everybody that's shot them with a suppressor, I have not had bears come right in on me.
Yeah.
They just, as of now they may be trained later, but hopefully by that time we can hunt some and put the fear of human in them.
Yeah.
But at the current situation, it's not a dinner bell to them with the suppressor.
Yeah.
And, I've heard guys shoot critters with suppressors in the same valley I'm in, and it's hard to tell exactly where it.
Oh, yeah.
Like
absolutely.
the way that it,
Yep.
the boom of a rifle, I can tell you pretty close to where it was.
Yeah.
But the suppressor's hard to tell.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Yeah, it is a good.
Where it come from.
It is a good mask.
So I don't know whether the bears, it might mask it too,
Yeah.
But that's one thing that I run into a little bit that I've noticed.
That beautiful daughter of mine, I put this on a 300 Win Mag and shooting a 180 grain SST out of that. That's a little overkill for prairie dogs, right? But still kind of fun to do. Anyway, I put this on there. She shoots them all day long. I just think it's a game changer. It is a solution.
It cuts so much recoil, like it's not even a comparison.
Yep. And nowadays, these are far more accessible, and I think probably going to continue to be just more and more accessible as people realize how much, they are a useful tool, how valid they are in our sport and in the shooting sports in general. Yep. Let us know what you guys think. Write us in. Tell us what your favorite big bore calibers are. Tell us what you think about the 6.5 Creedmoor. If you think we're wrong, let us know. But we love guns here, and if they go boom, we really like them. We just think there are good reasons to take a gun out there and know that you're going to put that animal down. You've got a lot invested, and out of personal, a lot of respect for the animals that we hunt, we want to put them down. Yep. If you want to learn how you can hunt with Saddlehorn Outfitters, go to saddlehornoutfitters.com, and you can send Jesse a message there directly. And, the application season can be really difficult, knowing what states are due when and how you need to earn points, what units are great. Send us a line if you got questions. If we don't know the answer, we definitely know someone who does. If you like music that fits the adventure, you can go to Bren Hill Music on any of the streaming sites and check my music out. We're produced here at Oasis Studios in beautiful northern Utah by Rich Casperson, and we look forward to seeing you on another episode of In the Wild Outdoors with Bren and Jesse.